Hello, everybody. It's Christina, and welcome back to my library. Today, I am going to be talking about the books that I read in January. Unfortunately, I didn't read a ton in January, not as much as I normally do. It was a little bit of a off month for me. But I did read, how many did I read? I'm checking my notes on the other side of the screen. I read 4 books, so a little less than I usually do. I usually try to do 5 or 6, probably more like 6. But it was just a little bit of a slow month for me. So that's just how it turned out. All of these books were actually library books too. So I only have the physical copies of 2 of them at the moment because the other 2 I have already returned back to the library. So I don't have them anymore, but I'll start with the 2 that I have already returned, and then we'll move on to the 2 that I still have, which I will be returning tomorrow. By the way, if you are a big reader and you don't want to have too many books on your bookshelves, or you just aren't into the whole like consumerism side of BookTube, then absolutely make sure you're supporting your local library. They have tons of options there. You can get a library card, and some places will even let you use the card in various areas around like the city you live in. So it's a good option if you don't want to have that many books. I only have 2 bookshelves, and I'm trying to just buy books that I really like and that I plan to read again. So that's why most of the time it's a library book that I'm using, just FYI. So we're going to start with the 2 that I don't have anymore that I returned to the library. The first one is probably like the biggest disappointment for me this month. I actually tried to read this book before, and it didn't work out. I tried again. It's just not for me. And I know so many people like it. So I'm really sad that I don't. And that is Jade City by Fonda Lee. I've heard so many good things about this book, and I want so badly to like it. But I think the problem I'm having with it is that it's like a urban fantasy kind of thing, which I'm very hit or miss with. So I think that was the issue I was having. I tend to like more, like the epic fantasies where it's set in like this fantastical world and people are going off on quests and doing all this stuff. So like, it was just a little bit too urban fantasy for me. And I think that was the trouble I was having, because like the characters were all very interesting and I could see like where the story was going. It wasn't for me, unfortunately. So I gave it 2 stars out of 5. I know so many people love this book, so please don't just because I didn't like it doesn't mean you won't like it. I still think it's definitely worth a read. So definitely check it out if you want to see it and use your library. That way, if you don't like it, you don't have to keep it. The next book is another one that was it was okay. It wasn't my favorite by this author. And that is The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. I love Station 11. It's one of my all-time favorite books. It's one of my all-time favorite apocalypse books or post-apocalypse books. This one's fine. It wasn't bad. It was weird. It was very weird. It's like a literary fiction, but there's also some like, I don't want to say necessarily sci-fi, but I guess it's kind of sci-fi. It's not like a full, like just lit fic. But it is a literary fiction. There's lots of different point of views, and I did enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it as much as Station 11. So I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5, and I thought it was fine, but it wasn't Station 11. I actually have on my shelf somewhere Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel, and actually it's another library book that I've got to probably read in the next week or so, and that one is another literary fiction by her. So I'm going to see if I like that one more. But as of right now, Station 11 is still just by far my favorite book by her. And like I said, Glass Hotel was fine. It was weird, but it was okay. It was just weird is fine. I liked where it was going. I just didn't enjoy it as much as Station 11. Next up, I have the 2 books that I definitely enjoyed. And these 2 I have the physical copies of for the moment, but I am returning them to the library tomorrow. One of which I am going to be buying to put on my shelves because I absolutely adore this author. So I might as well talk about that one first. And that is The World We Make by N.K. Jemisin. This is the 2nd book in the Great Cities. I think it's a trilogy series? Duology? I'm not sure. I think it's a trilogy. I'm holding it like this because the library stickers right there. Yeah, I loved this. Honestly, I don't think there is anything that N.K. Jemisin has written that I don't absolutely love. Like I've said before, Broken Earth was one of my all-time favorite book series ever. I actually really want to go back and read it again this year, and this is no exception. Great Cities is fantastic. This one's more sci-fi, and basically it's about people that become their city and have to like battle like the forces of evil to try and like that are trying to take control. It's got a lot of like Lovecraftian elements to it, but like I don't want to say more than that because it'll spoil. I try not to say too much about the books that I've read because it's I just don't want to spoil too much. Like with Emily St. John Mandel's book Glass Hotel, I really can't say anything about it without it being a spoiler. This one, people turn into cities and like they become like the avatars of their city. There is some Lovecraftian Cthulhuan stuff going on, but again, that's about all I'm going to say because there's a lot to it that could be spoiled very easily. But I love this concept. And I love this series. I think I liked The City We Became slightly better than The World We Make, but honestly, they were both very good. And if there is more in this series, I'm definitely going to buy more. This is actually one that I want to get for my shelves because I actually don't own either of the Great Cities books on my shelf. I would like to because, like I said, this is a series I would read again. Honestly, I need to just auto buy N.K. Jemisin from now on. Same thing with Leigh Bardugo. I've just started buying all of her stuff too. So I'm like really happy with both of those authors. And on the whole, R.F. Kuang's another one. I still need to get Yellowface. But yeah, those are the three authors that I would say I just absolutely need to own their books because there's really nothing that they've written that I don't like. So World We Make was great. Loved seeing the avatars again. Loved seeing like it kind of let you see avatars of other cities this time too, which was very cool. And yeah, I just really enjoyed this one. So definitely recommend it. This is, like I said, the second book in the series. So read The City We Became first if you're interested. But honestly, N.K. Jemisin could write about paint drying and I would probably still love it. Like she's just that good. The next book that I read is actually part of my Books by Palestinian Authors TBR. And I finished this one in January. I have a couple others that I'm reading in February, but this is the first one I finished. And that is Salt Houses by Hala Alyan. And this was very good. I liked it. It's a historical fiction that follows a family of Palestinian refugees from the 70s or like late 60s, early 70s up until almost present day. I think the book ends in like 2014. So it's not quite present day, but it follows this family, just this one family through the generations from, you know, the late 60s, early 70s up until the 2014. And it just follows their struggles, having to flee their home country, moving to other countries, then needing to flee those because of other battles and attacks and wars that are going on. And it's just a very moving book. It's very beautifully written. I really liked how this was written. I believe Hala Alyan is actually a poet. She does a lot of poetry as well. I'm not a big poetry person, so that's why I decided to go with Salt Houses instead of one of her poetry books. And it was just very good. I started to really just love so many people, so many characters in this book. There were so many of them that I could relate to and that I would want to be friends with and just want to like sit down and have a cup of tea with them and like learn more about them. They felt so real. And it was just such a beautifully written book. And it was so moving and just honestly, like there were some sad parts, but there was a lot of like hope and inspiration and stuff coming from this book as well. And it actually ended up leaving me with a good feeling, but the end, it was still pretty sad from times. And I really did like this, and I want to read more books. Like I said, I have that whole TBR from Palestinian authors, and I do intend to read them. I'm going to be moving on to a couple of the other ones. I have a book waiting for me at the library that I need to pick up that's part of this. And I think maybe I have one more coming. I'm waiting to see. I also am using Libby for the ebooks for a couple of them too. So that helps you get ebooks from your library if the physical copies aren't available. So I think I'm getting Evil Eye on Libby. I have to check and see. I can't remember which one's available next. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I gave this 4 stars out of 5, and I'm looking forward to reading more by Palestinian authors and, you know, learning more about the Palestinian people and just, you know, kind of doing what I can to help and, you know, spread the word because genocide is never okay. All right, so that wraps up my wrap up. Like I said, not a lot of books this month or last month. I was kind of busy doing some other things, and so I'm hoping to catch up this month. I'm still pretty happy. 4 books in a month is not terrible. I just, tend to do a little bit more than that. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and like the video if you enjoyed it. And you can also join my Discord. I'll have links for that down below. We do have a book club that we are currently working on. We are reading Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. And I don't know when we're going to discuss it. It's a very casual book club. You can just kind of join and talk about the book whenever you are ready. And it's all just on like Discord chat. Like we're not using voice or anything. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye.